Hi, I'm Theo Stocker for Yachting Monthly at the Dusseldorf Boat Show in Germany. Now I've come to have a look at a lovely looking little small cruising boat, so I'm going to show you her now. This isn't a brand you're going to have heard of, it's called Tide, and this boat is the Tide 25. Now if she looks familiar, you aren't necessarily mistaken. The company that makes her, MFH in Emden in Germany, actually bought the moulds of the SQ25 from Dehler when they sold those off, and these are built using the same moulds as the Dehler 25. So it's a familiar hull shape, well proven, but they've gone the extra mile in fitting her out and with the options available, giving you a pretty refined small little cruising boat. There's no keel fitted on this one, but she has a fixed keel of 1.6 meters draft with an option that's just being developed of a swing keel, which reduces the draft to under a meter, although the final details are still being worked out. At the stern here, let me just show you, we've got twin pod electric sail drives, and they're from E-Propulsion, and they've gone for twin pods here because it's actually a little twin rudder boat. You can see the transom mountings here and the steering linkage there, but there is an option to have a single electric inboard or a single diesel inboard engine as well if you're going to do some more serious cruising. Right, let's have a look on board. Right, coming up the steps onto the stern, we come into a reasonably large cockpit here. You can see with 4.5 seats either side and lowered locker seats here. Interesting function, but it means that when you're sitting outboard at the aft end of the cockpit, you've got something to wedge your feet against, and you do actually have stowage under here, a surprising amount. So you've got lots of space in there for a dinghy or fenders and lines. And you can see when we open those that you've also just got the top of the pods there that are just bolted through the hull, so they take up minimal space. Tiller steering, and that connects to a linkage to the twin rudders with adjustable tow in. And under the steps here you've got a transom traveller, full width for the main sheet, really good purchase. And the traveller lines are led forward here next to the headsail winches and the main sheet attachment, which means that you've got everything to hand when you're sailing solo, or you can also sail it with a crew. And this is the sport version set up for performance, so she should be a sporty little boat. Right, so let's have a look at the helm position here. You can sit here, the tiller's actually made off here, but you can lift it. Beautifully laminated wooden tiller with a tiller extension and a really comfortable sitting position with my feet braced against the side here, against the footrest here, and a webbing strap behind me to keep me nice and secure. There's the main sheet, really easy trim. I'd sit a little bit further aft here, and then I've also got head sail winch here. So you would probably cross sheet that, put that on the windward winch, and then you can trim everything from the windward side. We'll have a look on deck, but we've also got a removable bowsprit. And then just under here, you've got the twin throttles for the motors and the control panels there. I'm not sure, I don't know if you can marry those up or whether you have to do the two throttles separately. I'll check. Right, beneath the forward end of the cockpit seats, lots of boat show clobber in there, but a really good deep locker that's got more than enough space for dinghies and that kind of thing. Kit bags, so you might not want to keep them below. Under this one, looks like stowage. You've just got a shallow bit of stowage in there, which is actually quite useful for winch handles, water bottles, sunglasses, that kind of thing. But that's because there is a berth underneath there, so that's a watertight compartment. And then under the cockpit sole here, lift that up. And here you can see that we've got another stowage space with a boat hook. There's a bilge pump. And at the forward end, you've got the two batteries for the electric motors. They're pretty small batteries. They're the same ones that you would get on the E-Propulsion outboards. So I think they're about 1.2 kilowatts each. So not huge. And if you're doing coastal cruising, you might want to put a diesel inboard in there instead. Let's have a look on deck before we go below. So we've got two coach roof winches, Harken 15s, which are led, all the lines are led after this bank of clutches on the coach roof. And then you've also got here a lockable turning block for the head sail, which has tracks mounted on the coach roof, so you get a really close winded sheeting angle, which is nice. The boom's really low. I mean, it's sort of waist height when I'm in the cockpit. It is head height if you're standing in the cockpit, probably, but it means it's easy to get to the sail when you're dropping sail and stowing it away and things. Here are the tracks for the head sail. They're not towable, but it's a small sail, so you can do that manually. You just need to put a tack in. And then coming forwards, you've got a flush mounted forehatch for the forward berth, and that ventilates straight into the main saloon area as well. Obviously, small boats all open. And then here you've got the removable bowsprit. It's in the retracted position at the moment. And there's just a pad eye under there for the inboard end, giving you probably about 1 metre of projection ahead of the forestay. Sorry. And then under that we've also got a little anchor locker. So you can pop that open. It's just a small anchor locker, but there's more than enough space for a reasonable sized anchor, some warp and a decent amount of chain, which for a 25-foot boat will keep you secure pretty much wherever you're anchoring. And you've got these low open pulpit railings here, which lead aft, which suggests that this will be probably RCD-C. I'll check on that for you though. Right, and then we'll come aft along the port side. So side decks are pretty good. You have to duck a little bit under the lower shrouds there, but you'd expect that on a small boat. And then we can step straight back into the cockpit. Nice little detail here. It's just got this lip, so if you've got green water or rain running off the coach roof, it's actually going to be deflected overboard rather than flowing straight into the cockpit. Right, here's the companionway. So just going to slide that back. You've got a nice big open thing, just washboards going here, and then 2 small steps down into the accommodation. Right, so this is the accommodation space. You've got quite nice headroom when you're in sitting, but clearly not standing headroom, but not impossible to move around at all. And we are in the sport version, so this is the minimalist version, which means that we've got a forward berth there, double V berth, a berth down either side, and a small storage area, or you could put a child to sleep in there, or you leave it open. So it's a 4-berth boat really. In the cruising version, in the comfort version, you would also have a galley to port, which would be a proper fitted little galley, and you could sit down on the main berth and cook your food there to port. And on starboard behind me here, they would actually build in a complete heads compartment, so you would have a fully private heads, I think with a little shower in it as well. Again, not standing headroom, but really nicely fitted out, very well appointed, to give you a little bit more privacy and comfort if you're going to cruise this boat. Looking forwards, you can see that we've got this reasonable size double V berth. It's a little bit narrow at the foot end, but probably enough space for yours and your partner's feet. You're looking at just under 2 meters there. And then coming aft, you've got a very simple electrical panel. One of the nice things about small boats is it's not too many systems to worry about. And then reasonable sized windows that are more or less at eye line when you're sitting in the accommodation, so you get a nice view, and there's your opening hatch above that window as well. Stowage wise, there's space for a chemical low under there if you're not having the heads, and then you've got stowage under all of the seats as well. So you've got a fair amount of stowage for a small boat, as well as fairly extensive cockpit lockers. Now this boat is sport version, as I mentioned, and it's got a 1.6 metre keel. I can't lift up the sole boards very easily, but it's a hand laid up boat, and then the keel is bolted onto that. In the comfort version, you would have a table here attached to the mast compression post, and in the swing keel version there would be a small pivot point, a little thing that comes up just after the mast compression post there, but that wouldn't impinge too much on the living space, particularly if you've got a table there. So that's the Tide 25. If you're after a small cruising boat, this is quite an interesting one to look at. Price-wise, she's built in Germany and she's built to a very nice standard on a very well proven mould from Dehler. Price-wise, base price is €77,000 including VAT. This one, as you've seen it today, is €125,000 including VAT. That's German VAT. But you could add on other specs, and if you go for the comfort version, you're going to be paying a little bit more as well. But for a nicely finished small boat, this one is a really good one to have a look at.